Okay, Kevin Harvick is up next. Excuse me. Kevin drives the number 29 Jimmy John's Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing this weekend. He comes in here second in points. He's got 4 wins on the season. And Kevin, talk about coming into Charlotte Motor Speedway. When you leave here Saturday night, you'll be halfway through the chase. Talk about that, and then just also talk about where you think you are right now, performance-wise.
Well, we're excited, to come in here, and obviously the last race here ended well for us. So, the last 3 or 4 races we've run a lot better here than we have over the past several years. So, we feel like we have a lot better starting spot than we did in the past for setups and things to come into today. So, it's it feels good. Hopefully, we can have a good weekend and look forward to getting it done. So, the chase has been it's been a fight for us so far. We haven't had everything exactly how we would have laid it out, but I think that the results haven't been deadly for us, I guess you could say too. So it's been an experience, but we'll keep plugging away week by week.
Take questions now for Kevin. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll start here with Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Jimmy seemed a little, I won't say depressed, but put off by the fact that, people were saying he was out of it for a couple of weeks. But that being said, when the mind games start kicking in, and the closer we get and the tighter the points get and everything else, who's going to win the mind game?
I don't know. I mean, right now I still say it's us against ourselves. We just need to keep protecting the things that we're doing and not shooting ourselves in the foot. We've overcome some pretty big hurdles. The mind games thing, I mean, it's all just a matter of circumstances as to how it works out. I mean, I knew sitting on the stage last year that the 11 wasn't going to win a championship because he couldn't hardly sit still and was so nervous going into that race that he couldn't hardly stand it. So I mean, it's just I could see it. Jimmy was gouging at it, so it was. I just sat back and watched. But I think when you've been in these situations, and for us, we were fortunate to be in these situations before, and especially last year. Everybody knows what it's like, and you just do your thing. It's just a matter of what the circumstances are and what you feel is the right thing to do. And right now, we need to keep doing the things that we're doing until it's time to be different. And I think once we get through this week and Talladega and Martinsville, then you see where you stand and see what you got to do.
Okay, let's go to David Newton, Viv, and then Brian.
Yeah, Kevin, David Newton, ESPN.com. Jimmy was talking earlier in the week about how he's lost a lot of sleep this year, stress and all, because the cars might be really average in qualifying practice and like last week just take off in the race, and it's just so unpredictable that he's had to work harder to try to understand the engineering thing to find speed there and learn what to tell the crew chiefs. Have you gone through a similar experience of that? Do you feel that's more anxiety this year knowing the car just doesn't react like it may have 4 or 5 years ago?
I think this time of year for sure. I think this week has been better for me than the few weeks leading into this week, just for the fact that I've had other things to do besides something that absolutely revolved around racing. We got off on a 2-week stretch there where we went and tested, and we had a bunch of appearances and went from race to race with things in between. So this week it was a little more relaxing, and that for me is a good thing. To get my mind off of it. Otherwise, my mind is spinning about racing the whole time and what we need to do different, what we could have done last week, and it will keep you up at night. So, I think that's just part of this time of year for sure. But you definitely spend a lot of time thinking about it, and it can consume your world for sure.
Okay, we're going to go to Viv and then Brian.
Viv Bernstein, New York Times. I'm wondering if you learned anything specific about last year's run that allows you to take that final step. And you sort of hinted at it last time. Is it mental?
I don't think it's I don't think it's one particular thing. I think obviously there was some mental things that we felt like we could all, or I could have done better, or the guys could have done better. I think coming into the chase, not being behind was one of the things we had on our checklist, and you know, the one thing that we haven't done yet that is on our checklist that we felt like we needed to do to win a championship was win a race in the chase. So I still feel like that's important to accomplish that if we're going to win.
Let's go to let's go to Brian Nelson, then over here to Jay.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. Kevin, as you've transitioned a new sponsorship for this year in the Sprint Cup Series, and then over the time that you've been selling for KHI as well, what has attracted sponsors to your drivers? What kind of are the selling points? I know there are some teams, some drivers who are looking for, or sponsors who are looking for spokesmen primarily, and you know, whether they run up front or not is immaterial. But what are some of the things that your sponsors have been interested in?
I think it varies. I think each sponsor is, looking for something different. Obviously, they're looking for something different in what they're trying to accomplish. But I think that the one key thing that we've concentrated on over the years is to go above and beyond for the sponsor off the racetrack to make sure that they're getting the things that they need. It's not always about a contract. Sometimes it is more about a relationship outside of that contract and more of a spending more personal time with the sponsors, getting to know them as people, and not just somebody who's writing a check. So, the above and the beyond part is important, because in this day and age, it's really not about 14 appearances and 2 hospitalities, and sometimes it's about doing the little things that help them get through a situation when they need something. So it's the sponsor relations part of it is probably the most important job, in making sure that they're having fun, getting the things that they need, and the return on their investment, so they can go back and show that it's pushing the needle to make things better as far as their brand is concerned.
Let's go to Jay, and then we'll go to Reed.
Jay Pennell with SB Nation. With the change in the point system and how close things are with each position and everything, we've seen in other forms of motorsports where team orders or whatever will come into play in the championship. Once we get closer towards the end of the championship, the end of the chase, do you think we'll see team orders come into play more in NASCAR with drivers giving positions to their teammates that are still in contention?
I think my teammates are have been helping me a lot as far as setups and things on the racetrack, and helping make our car go faster. And right now that's the most important thing. And they're definitely not going to put me in a position that they feel is a bad position to be in, or put us out in a scenario. So I feel like everybody's on the same page and doing a great job in helping us try to accomplish what we all want to accomplish at RCR. I have no idea about other teams.
All right, let's go with Reed, and then Mark Garrow. Go ahead, Reed.
Reed Spencer with Sporting News. Kevin, if you go ahead and win this championship, will you look back on last week's sixth place finish as a real critical juncture in that process?
Yeah, really, I think the first 4 have been. I think Chicago we ran fairly well, but the other 3 have been. We've had to overcome some hurdles to get the finishes that we've had. I really feel like the first 5 races are not near as good races for us as the last 5 from a performance standpoint, based upon how we either ran at the beginning of this year or in the years past. So we gotta keep doing what we're doing, and trying to, like I keep saying this, but we gotta concentrate on what we can do ourselves and not shoot ourselves in our own feet, and control the things that we can control, and see how it all falls over the next few weeks.
Go ahead, Mark.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Kevin, 2 quick questions on Talladega. Number 1, the rule change, and what kind of race do you think that will be? Will it break up the tandem, and do you think we needed to break up the tandem drafting to make a better race at Talladega?
I don't watch the races, so I don't know how it is to watch, but I know from a driver's standpoint, we do whatever we have to do to make our cars run as fast as they can go, and our cars run faster with 2 cars connected than they do in a pack or in a 10-car line and so that's just what we've concentrated on, were the cooling and how to get the cars connected. I think what you'll see next week is probably the same tandem racing that you've seen, with a lot more switching. So it's probably going to draw a lot more cars closer together. There's just going to be a lot more congestion, of when you do the switch and things like that. So I think Thursday we should be able to get all that situated during the fuel injection test.
And one quick question: talk about the finish of the last race and trying to get Clint home.
I'm sorry?
Were you the one that helped push Clint when he almost won the race?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, that's you try to put yourself in position. We felt like we were in a good position and didn't really think that the 20 or the 48 and the 88 were close enough to make a run. And so we got to concentrating on trying to pull the 24 and the 5 apart. And the next thing you know, there was the 99 and the 16, and we kind of got disconnected right before we got to the start-finish line. So it's just really trying to guess at what the timing is as to what you need, and we didn't get it done.
Final question, Dustin.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. I have two quick questions. One, with your situation last week with Austin Dillon pushing you, I know part of the reason NASCAR said was not maintaining reasonable speed. But do you understand where NASCAR stands, I guess, in the sense of guys getting assistance or push? Do you need more clarification? I think Darby said they might have said something at New Hampshire at the drivers' meeting. Are you comfortable with where that is, or do you need a little bit more clarification on that, first off?
Until they change the rule, I know what the rule is. You can push people until the end of the race. Our gap got a little too wide to the car in front of us, and I understand that part. But the rule says you can be pushed until the end of the race. So if the rule is not that, they need to change the rule and let us know. But we'll continue doing what the rule book says.
Secondly, I know late in last week's race, you were racing for position with Clint, your teammate. At what point in this chase does it become a point where maybe one of your teammates, regardless who it is, should consider conceding the position to you because of what the value of potentially what 1 point could be? Where does that come into play from this point on?
Every point matters, so you race as hard as you can and see where it all falls at the end of the day. I don't really know how to answer that 100% with the right answer there.
We do have one more question. Mike Embry, raise your hand there.
Mike Embry, Speed.com. Kevin, from what you've seen in the chase so far, do you expect there to be 4 to 6 guys with a shot at being in the chase in the last week, or do you expect it to come down to 2 or 3 like last year?
Yeah, I mean, that just, it's hard to tell. Right now, everything, I think there's, eight guys that are pretty close. So you just have to, we're not even halfway yet, and you've kind of not eliminated 4 guys, but you've put 4 guys pretty far behind that it's probably virtually never going to happen that they're going to catch the guys that are up front. Even if 1 or 2 of them has trouble, there's still a third that probably won't. So 4 weeks, 4 of those guys, and that's why I keep preaching to the team and to you guys that we can't make mistakes, because when you make that mistake, there's just going to be somebody who doesn't make mistakes, big mistakes, and I'm talking 25, 35, 25th through 35th place positions. Those are the ones that kill you, and that seem to get you in a hole that you almost can't get out of. So if we can keep that from happening, then hopefully we're not one of those guys. But I don't anticipate it being 8.
Kevin, thanks for coming in, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.